You're listening to Speaking Stellar Girl with Teri Tkachuk, an interview series that inspires women to live their most stellar life. Teri is the co-founder of the Stellar Girl movement, and she is sitting down with women all over the world to hear about the key moments in their lives and how they live boldly, compassionately, and ultimately became a stellar girl.
Welcome to Speaking Stellar Girl. I'm your host, Teri Tkachuk, and I'm thrilled today to have Jeanine Lobell joining me. Jeanine's famed career spans over 2 decades. She is the original founder of the world-renowned makeup line STILA Cosmetics, and is a celebrity and fashion makeup artist, and was the creative director of Kevin Aucoin Cosmetics, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yeah. Jeanine is a beauty legend, but she is a mom of 5 children, recently created an app entitled RX Breakup, and she talks all about motherhood. She talks about how she starts how she started her career so early, and I'm so thrilled that she's with us today speaking all things Stellar Girl. She's got a Stellar Girl spirit, and welcome to Speaking Stellar Girl, Jeanine. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
I know that your career has been, well over 2 decades, and you've done so many amazing things. So I'd like to just start off with, obviously you started doing music videos and then transitioned into editorial and film. You've painted some beautiful faces, and you spoke earlier. I was listening to you on Clubhouse. You spoke earlier that you don't necessarily just put the makeup on these women. You actually are very close and very genuine, establish very genuine friendships with these women.
Yeah, I mean, definitely with a few. I mean, I think when you're a makeup artist, it's like, you're actually touching people, right? You're like in their face, you're touching their face. It's a very kind of intimate experience, and we sort of absorb their energy in some ways, and they absorb ours, right? And sometimes it's sort of, often it goes beyond just the painting piece, right? It's like you're really there to support somebody, in an honest way, to show. I mean, I've had girls sit down in front of me and I can tell they're upset, and I've like shoot everybody away and be like, what's going on, babe? Like it's part of it. And maybe because I'm such a mom, I'm such a nurturer as well. But I've met some incredible people, in my career, that's for sure.
That's incredible. At Stellar Girl, we talk all about how to better champion and inspire women. You've inspired me. I've been reading quite a bit about you the past couple of weeks, and the way you raised your children, you set them free. You put them on a path where they can be themselves, and you really support them that way. So they're your biggest accomplishment.
That's for sure. I mean, it's funny because, I didn't go to college. I did 2 years of high school. I dropped out, and then I went back and did 2 years in 1 year and got out. And college wasn't for me. But then my kids went to these kind of New York schools where it's like college, where are you getting in? Ivies, blah, 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 like super high pressure environments. And I always felt like I kind of had to pretend that I thought that was important, because that wasn't my story. And so, my thing with them has always been like, I don't care. Like, I don't care what you do, as long as you're happy and you're doing something that is meaningful to you. And actually, somebody asked me the other day, if my kids had the entrepreneurial spirit. And I was like, well, I don't know how to define that, but I do know that what they did get from me was like, nobody's going to do it for you.
Your work ethic.
Get out there, and they're all like super hard workers. I mean, I'm really impressed by, I think sometimes with kids, it's like that balance, like you want to protect them, but in fact you overprotect them. You don't allow them to have certain feelings that they need to experience in order to have like the tools for those feelings, or you want them to have nice things, but you don't want them to expect all of that. So it's a, I had enough of them that I could have a bit of a learning curve. That's for sure.
100%. I've got 4 myself, and I always try to teach them gratitude and not to you know, and show them that they have to work for everything that they have, and nothing comes easy, and everyone has a story and a journey, and your kids are building their own, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. So you were featured on a TV series called Behind the Label.
That, oh God, I don't even know if I remember that, but
Yes,
I guess.
you were. Yes, you were. There's I did a
Oh,
lot.
I remember that. I remember that. That was funny. Yeah.
So Behind the Label was obviously still a cosmetics, and so when you started that in, not in a huge warehouse, you started it alone.
Yeah. Well, I had a partner, and I started it out of my house, and then I rented a room in somebody else's warehouse, and had like 2 people working in there, and went from there, and ended up in a, I mean, towards the end of my time, it was like we had this huge warehouse. I was like, I have a forklift. Wait, what? It was like mind blowing to me, which is part of the reason why I wanted to sell my business to a larger corporation. I felt like I wanted some real adults in the room.
Do you still have your hands in it at all, or
No.
is it no?
Not for a long time.
Not for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you started it with, you know, obviously the brand is iconic. It's vibrant. The packaging is beautiful. I own oodles of it. The way you came up with the names and the marketing of the product was genius as well. But I read somewhere, now, obviously, the internet isn't always correct, but that you focused on shimmer and shine
Yeah,
when you first started.
Yeah, well, I think our first collection was tiny. We had like 6 blush, no mascara, no brushes, and everything. I think the first 6 shadows, no, 6 blush, and I think 10 or 12 shadows, they were all matte. But then I started going to the lab myself,
Mhm.
and mixing up the products. So making, shimmery eyeshadows on my own. So they ended up being made in a way that they had never been made before, because I didn't know better. And that's part of the reason why they became so popular, because I did things differently than anyone had done before, because I just didn't know, right?
Yeah.
And then also, being an editorial makeup artist, I mean, it's common now, but back then, that sort of highlighter, like shimmer thing, that didn't exist, right?
No.
We used to take like 8-hour cream and a little shimmer shadow and make our own.
Right.
And I was I think myself and NARS were the first 2 brands that
Yes.
created
highlighters and
Yeah.
shimmers. I had a do-it-yourself routine where I started off with like a Vino lotion, then I put on some iron oxide and some mica, and then covered it in glitter. And for 10 years, people would ask me, what I put on my skin, because I don't know, I'm wearing it now. And I created Stellar Girl Glimmer Lotion.
Oh, wow.
And I bought everything on the market. It took me 3 years to create that one. I bought everything from Tom Ford to everything on Etsy to see even the old Body Shop ones. Remember they had those cranberry Body Shop ones? I bought everything I could to see if I could do it better. And I always say Stellar Girls leave a little sparkle behind, because, the glitter sometimes, gets a little bit up. Yes. And when you hug someone, they're like, oh my gosh, Teri was just here. So we just launched, and I talk about the ingredients a lot, and I talk about, having it like always leaving your mark somewhere. And so anyways, so I was just love that you started with a lot of glimmer and shimmer and shine in your products. So
yeah, it's funny. We became very popular very quickly in Japan, and I used to go there regularly. And after I'd been there, a couple of years in a row, they said to me, "You completely changed the way Japanese girls wear their makeup." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "It was always about that super covered white matte thing."
Red lip.
We introduced cream blush and shimmer, and showed them how to wear it. And it totally changed how they did their makeup, which was cool, because, listen, anyone can do whatever they want. My aesthetic is a less kind of mask-like vibe.
Right.
which is why I like the cream blushes, the shimmer creams and all that to sort of put the skin back in skin after you put your kind of foundations on. So I was particularly happy to hear that.
That- I've been to Japan. I loved it. They have quite an incredible, like they dress for their mood and destination. They put their makeup on for where they're going. They dress how they want to for wherever they're going, and they're free spirited, and they really know they're not afraid to experiment like they are more so here, where we like, oh, here's the trend, here's this, instead of just doing what you want to do.
Yeah, there's definitely the sort of street fashion in Tokyo is off the hook.
Fun. It's one of my favorite
Unbelievable.
places. One of
Yeah.
my favorite places. I know you can't say you've had favorites because you've worked with, of course, Vogue, Harper's, Vanity Fair. You've done editorial, you've done film, you've done television, Oscars, every award show on the planet. So it's hard for me to ask you, like, what is your favorite venue or avenue to do makeup in? But I'm going to
Okay.
ask you.
Well, for me, my favorite is doing beauty or fashion editorials, because there's a lot more freedom when you're doing makeup for like a special event, or like a red carpet event, or even a press junket. There's a lot of direction in terms of image control for that particular talent. Whereas an editorial, it's like models, and it's like, the photographer, the fashion editor, like we come together, they show where they're trying to go, and then I get to add something to it.
Yes.
I get to say, okay,
you get to be creative.
Exactly. So that is hands down my favorite. Although, in the celebrity world, I've had some pretty fun experiences, that I wouldn't have had in that world. So they all offer something different.
They offer something different. So you recently, do you wear other people's makeup other than your own?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Who else do you wear?
Well, I wear, so the only makeup I'm wearing is I have like a little black smudgy liner from Chanel.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have It mascara. And then this is actually the brand I'm working on right now. So
Please tell me about that.
Well, I can't. It's all very
it's a
secret.
secret.
I'll tell you when we get closer.
Okay.
But hopefully it's going to launch in October, end of October. So I have to wear things to, like, this is like a long wear lip that's clean, non-toxic, which is very difficult to achieve because the things that make it long wear and dry down matte are generally not the best ingredients, but I think we've mastered that now. So we're excited about that.
I've yet to find a long lasting one that I like, so I can't wait.
Yeah, they're hard to wear. I find most of them super
dry,
tight.
and they're dry,
know,
and they make me have wrinkles.
Yeah, no. There's it's a trade-off. It won't last as long as the super dry ones, but I think they look terrible after a couple hours. It's all crusty, and I'd rather not have it at that point and start over.
I'm excited to hear about that in the future. Absolutely. Let's talk about how you got into with working with Kevin O'Quinn.
Yeah, so Kevin O'Quinn, unfortunately, not as many people know him today as should. Kevin was like the original beauty master. I mean, there was nobody like Kevin. He created all the first matte eyeshadows. He did Ultima to the Nakeds in like the 70s or something insane. He went on to be a creative director at Shiseido. He has several books out. One's called Face Forward, where he transformed women into other women. He was the king. Like, there was nobody could touch him. Unfortunately, he had a disease, and he passed before his launch of his own makeup brand, which was based on all of his experience working for other brands and his artistry. So a few years in, it was kind of really falling apart. There was nobody really taking care of it. And so they brought me in to kind of revamp the line, get it back to some of his original formulas, reformulate some things, redesign some of the packaging. And so I managed to get it into Bergdorf's and Space NK and a bunch of cool stores. So it's So it was an honor for me because I knew Kevin
Yes.
to have the privilege of making sure his legacy continued. So
A legend as well, for sure. So
yeah.
let's go on to one of your newest projects, the RX app, the Breakup.
Yeah, well, I actually did that like a few
A few
years
years ago.
but I did that. So one of my best friends is she's a bit older than me. She's an incredible she's a therapist, right, in LA. She's got a lot of Hollywood girls that are like, she's constantly dealing with the heartbreak, the obsession, and I, as a friend, have had a lot of friends who the kind of friend who's like still talking about a relationship that's been over for 2 years, and that person, has moved on, that maybe they're even engaged, and your friend is still talking about them, and they're sort of stuck in this loop of somebody. And so we'd often talked about her doing a book or some kind of flashcard thing around this whole thing. And I was like, hey man, let's make an app. Let's make a really active program for people to get over a breakup or a lingering obsession. And it's like a 30-day program. And she wrote it all.
Mhm.
And then I did all the editing. Like, now that sounds too much like a shrink. So we always say it's as if your coolest, smartest girlfriend was giving you the best advice ever. And that's the app. And it's free. We don't charge. We don't do anything. It's just out there.
That is awesome. So about being the coolest app, a girlfriend talking to each other, how do we better champion each other? I mean, you must have these amazing Stellar Girl girlfriends that have been in your life and championed and support you along the way. But how in today's society can we better do that?
Well, that's a huge thing. I mean, I always kind of credit growing up in Sweden, which was a socialist country, very different. It's about the good of the group. Now, it's not socialism like America thinks about socialism.
Okay.
It's very different. Maybe we call it social democrat more. And so we never grew up with that kind of like, go get yours, you got to get it, you got to be this. It was just, which I find very American, and there's some positive in that, but it's also makes a lot of people feel left behind, right? And as a mother of daughters, I've seen them be bullied. I've seen a lot of crap, with it's like, as terrible as men can be to women, the women that enabled the bad men or women being bad to other women is way worse to me in some weird way. Except the obvious violence that, we don't need to get into right now. But I think that I think women and men, we need to teach our daughters a different mindset. There's this mindset that like, well, here's the boyfriend pie, right? So if you get a slice of the boyfriend pie, even if it's not about that guy, there's one less slice out there for me, right? So this kind of weird competitive thing and between women, to me, is unacceptable. I think, you have to, I'm glad I grew up in a culture where it's about lifting each other up and supporting each other. And I try to teach my kids that. And I just wish that that's what we taught in school, advocating for each other, there should be more kind of girl-focused anti-bullying, camaraderie, I used to say to my daughters, and you can cut me off if I'm getting long-winded.
No, go ahead.
When girls are sitting around and they're talking about the one girl that's not there, or two girls are bonding over bad-mouthing somebody who's not there, I said to her, it's like they feel powerful, and it's like they get high from it. They just feel empowered because they feel so powerless. Their bodies are exploding on them.
Right.
Everybody's telling them how much time they can spend on the phone, when they got to go to bed, where they got to be, like, right. It's never ending. And they're in fact young adults being sort of oppressed in a way. So then they act out in all these other ways, in my opinion. And so that, you got to be really clear about why are you doing things, and giving your kids power in a positive way, I think is really important.
Absolutely. We need an app of how to break up with girlfriends. And I don't mean girlfriends like a lover girlfriend. I mean like your girlfriends, because there's so many women that try to hang on to these relationships that aren't supportive, that aren't that are more toxic than good. And I don't
Mhm.
want to see that happening. I think there's room for everyone to succeed, and we should champion and support us all.
Totally. I mean, what does it take from me if I give you information or help you with something? It doesn't take anything from me, you know? And uh, I don't know, it's like, I always say this, which is probably, I maybe shouldn't say this, but, you know, a man would not be cheating on his husband if somebody else wasn't sleeping with somebody else's husband, right? So
Right.
if the girl
Right.
code was like, sorry, you're
Yeah.
taken, end of discussion, I don't care how much I like you, it
Yes.
wouldn't happen,
True.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, and I'm not judging, I'm just
No.
saying,
No. No. No.
like, it's up to you. Like, who you gonna be today? That's it.
Yeah.
You have to decide.
Hopefully you'll be stellar today.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So what brings you joy, and what drains you of it?
Um, what brings me joy? Well, obviously being a mom, my kid's doing well. My kid's getting through this last year. We won't say the C word.
Yes.
Has brought me joy. The fact that they've all kind of found what they're interested in, what they like doing. If they're fine, I'm fine. Every mother knows that. What drains me? I don't really get drained. I'm so aware, self-aware at this point in my life that like, I know, no, I'm not going to do that. Like I know when to stop and when not to engage with the things that take too much from me. But I also have an incredible stamina. Like I can do a lot of stuff in one
Yeah.
day,
Yes.
so I think I probably have a more intense stamina than most people.
Well, I mean, you can only drain yourself of what is not inside. So, I mean,
Mm.
if nothing's draining you, if you only work towards and are who you are and true to yourself and your brand and your lifestyle and take care of yourself and your kids, there really isn't a better life than that.
Mhm.
So
Sure.
I really appreciate you sharing that. What about any advice that you would have for someone who would like to become an entrepreneur in 2021? Because with all the, with everything going on, it's difficult to get in, with whether it's a fashion designer, whether you're launching your own company, you want to be an influencer. If there's, I always say, let's talk to our mentors. Let's find someone who will listen to us and will help you along the way. What advice would you give to the younger generation out there that wants to be a Jeanine Lobell?
Well, I think today, I mean, the beauty of social media is it's leveled the playing field so much more, right? You can be that person who just makes a hair oil in your kitchen and selling it and blow up with it, right? There's so much opportunity because of direct to consumer, uh, the internet, or if you want to be an influencer. I think there's a lot of information out there on how to um, get there, how to build yourself as a brand. We could talk about that all day, hacks, Instagram, blah, blah,
Yeah.
all that stuff. But I always tell people, what do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? And who do you want to do it for? If you can really answer those three questions with clarity, your why shouldn't be, well, I want to be famous. Your why should be, I hate shooting people, but your why should be, I believe in this so much, I want everybody to know about it,
Mhm.
whatever it could be, right?
Mhm.
And so you really have to clarify what you want and how you're going to get there. And mentorship, listen, we met on Clubhouse, right?
Yes.
So like, it's a great place to find people. I get DMs all the time I just sent an email to this girl, she's looking for this eyeliner. I was like, look, my guy can make it for you for this low quantities, we could do it like this. I'm always doing this stuff with people because I believe in using my experience to benefit others as well. So I think uh, you really don't listen to anything about that you can't do it. Like,
Yeah.
do not, as I always used to say to myself, why not me?
Why not me? Yeah. I always call it the circle of love. Whoever I can help in my circle of love, that brings me happiness and joy, because when I created my product, it it makes me happy putting it on in the morning, even it's as simple as that. But now there's actually psychological studies that say that sparkle and shimmer actually bring you happiness and joy. There's a
Oh,
sign
wow.
there's, yes, I'll have to send you the study because you were onto something a long time ago that translated to all over the world. And so, but yeah, it's a proven fact. So now when I say, well, why did you make this lotion? And I said, well, it's because it makes me happy. There's actually science to back it up now. So
And that's a perfect why,
yeah,
because it makes you happy
It
and you
makes
want
me-
other people to feel that. That's
What-
like a great why.
that was my why. So at least I answered one of your questions, and I'll work on the other two. I appreciate you chatting with me, all things Stella Girl, today. Your presence is my present, as cliche as, but I really truly mean that. And you know, you're so very well known. You're a legend in your own industry. You're such an amazing mom. I loved learning and reading all about you these past few weeks, and thank you so much for sharing
Oh
your
my gosh, thank
your
you.
your spirit with us today on Speaking Stellar Girl.
Thank you so much. It's really nice. And I'm here for it. Anything you need. I'm
Thank
here
you
for
again,
it.
Jeanine.
All right.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell icon to be notified of new episodes. To learn more about the Stellar Girl movement, please visit us at stellargirl.com.